Hey, Wallace, you going to run that SRX deal? Tony Stewart's deal? So the reason I started having fun with that is that's what a lot of people say. So yeah, tonight we're back at Stafford, and I've never run this racetrack. It's the home of Ryan Preece and the Arute family. So the Arute family is buried deep inside auto racing, kind of like the Agajanians, you know. So if you know racing, I'm an old guy, so I kind of know a little bit of history. Excited to see my dear friend Kenny Schrader. He's like family. Schrader been on the road. He's running this whole deal. He's going to run all 6 races. Yes, Kenny Schrader's going to run all 6 SRX races. Where did I miss that press release? Well, I'm here to tell you. All right, going to see you tonight. Got all new drivers. My teammate Daniel Suarez, he said we were teammates because when he first came up from Mexico, we drove for Joe Gibbs together. Remember, my last NASCAR race was at Joe Gibbs at Iowa, 2015, when I drove that U.S. Cellular car. So myself and Daniel, we have a good little relationship, and we always have fun with that little tidbit of information. All right, tonight, live, Thursday Night Thunder, ESPN. It's the SRX series.
And that's what makes SRX successful. We race short tracks in America, and we race asphalt pavement tracks, and we go to dirt tracks. You can't leave anybody out in this deal. We can't. We have to involve everybody.
I really feel like you were onto it years ago because, for me, it's like, what's the difference between the IROC series and SRX? I said, oh, that's easy. SRX is going to your racetrack.
Yeah.
Going to Stafford, August 17th. I'm racing up there in Wheatland, Missouri at Lucas Oil Speedway. Oh, by the way, that's a dirt track. So it's kind of like you all started it where you went to their local racetrack and, you're just selling these places out. It's a new dynamic, but not.
Kenny, here's what it is. SRX racing appeals to my street, your street, Wall Street, and Main Street.
Oh, I like
Think
that.
about it. SRX racing appeals to my street, your street, Main Street, and Wall Street.
Yeah.
You can go from, hey, we went to the Big Apple to do this deal, right? We were near Wall Street, but guess what? I got to go to Stafford, Connecticut, where there's going to be a packed crowd, and make the Arute family happy with a great race on SRX. We're going to go. I mean, that's what's exciting about this.
So one thing that I really like is that when you did put the deal together for Thursday night, Thursday Night Thunder on ESPN, now you can get all the drivers because, they're not racing. So
Bingo.
I see you have world-class drivers, Marco Andretti and Kyle Busch and, you name it. They're all running with you now because they want to, and it's exciting. How hard is it to call those drivers, get a hold of them, and just give me a look inside your phone calls? You call these drivers up, and how's it go?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Kenny, like last year when I first got here, right, there no drivers, no track sign, no drivers, right? So I got to do that, but I'm really blessed to have a Rolodex, and people actually will return my call or return my text, right?
You got a Rolodex.
Yeah, so I reached out and like, hey, are you interested in doing SR? First question I have is, are you doing it again? What racetracks you gone to and all that? So I signed to 6 racetracks, boatload of drivers, went on. But here's the exciting thing about my second year. This year, Kenny, it went from 8 or 10 tracks that were interested in having SRX races to 43 tracks. And while Tony Stewart and I were on the phone, narrowing it down to 6 or 7 in case one of the 6 needed a fallback position. While I was on with Tony, a 44th racetrack called while we were on a conference call together. Wow. And I was like, wow, that's really big. But here's what's exciting. I started texting and calling drivers between December 25th and New Year's in that window of time to see who could I get to drive, right? And I am telling you, Denny Hamlin, definitely interested. Kyle Busch, definitely interested. Tell me more. Kevin Harvick, definitely interested. Tell me more. Clint Boyer, definitely interested. Tell me more. Joseph Newgarden, definitely interested. Tell me more. Kenny, it was like, are you kidding me? I felt like I hit Powerball
Yeah.
because the only reason they're all available, from Joseph Newgarden to Ron Capps to Kyle Busch, is because we're on Thursday night. We're not interfering with anybody's race weekend. The neat thing about it is when I talked to Roger Penske and Walt Zarnicki, talked to Jim France and Steve Phelps, it was, guys, we're off your weekend. We're not interference. We're just going to go to a short track and have fun. And Roger Penske's guys looked at me and said, look, a high tide lifts all ships. Every time you mention a past IndyCar driver, a current IndyCar driver, we get a free announcement. And he said, thank you so much. And Roger gave us Ernie Francis Jr., okayed him. Joseph Newgarden okayed him. Last year, Blaney okayed him. Like, he believes that this is a good thing. A high tide does indeed lift all ships. And we're not interfering with anybody running on Thursday night.
So when I look at the driver lineup, yes, you've got all the superstars, but this Paul Tracy really stands out as the villain. The fans love it. I mean, they eat it up. They boo him. He loves it. He's playing the character. But you know what? I follow Paul Tracy on Instagram. You know, it's like Rusty Wallace says.
Yeah.
It's sad to say, you have to remind people because they remember what they went to. Paul Tracy, he's another guy that I use this phrase now, has done it all. He's really good. And tell me about Paul Tracy, the dynamic of him running every race.
So Paul's he's not afraid to use up his car.
Oh boy,
he's not afraid to use up the bumper in front of him, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
like, and him and I had to sit down 2 or 3 times last year. And that's the neat part about my job is, and not only get to do this, I'm doing something I love, but you know, I have school in session with Paul Tracy a little bit. And if you look, Paul Tracy was driving a number 3. I knew a guy that drove a number 3. I knew a guy that was kind of rough in a number 3. And believe it or not, we talk about that. But you can sell roughness, you can sell persona if it performs. And that's the thing I kept telling Paul Tracy. You got to finish the deal. You got to finish the race. You can't just wad somebody up and then you have a broken car and you're lame the rest of the night. The art of this thing is move them out of the way and you keep moving, right? So Paul and I get along really great. Here's an interesting story. He's so psyched for this Thursday Night Thunder. The man has worked out in the mornings. He's lost 40 pounds for this year.
He looks good.
I'm not going to be falling out of the seat. You know what else you forgot on that list of drivers, by the way? I forgot to tell you, Kenny, who's coming this year. We got Kenny Wallace coming to Lucas Oil Speedway. He's gone to Missouri, and we invited his whole family because, like, look, when I went through my Rolodex, how do I miss you, Kenny? How do I miss you? I can't.
Well, I'm incredibly honored, and like I told you, we're like the Beverly Hillbillies here in Missouri. We're excited. My wife, my whole family, and my
the Clampetts are coming.
Everybody's coming. Even my extent. You know what's crazy about this SRX series is I have family, extended family, and they texted me. They didn't ask for tickets because they said, we got our tickets. We bought them online. I'm like, and I'm telling my wife, I said, I never realized how much our family really did love racing. But this whole SRX deal really lit a fire underneath my family. Thank you so much for inviting me.